Jane Austen wrote, "There is no finer county in England than Derbyshire." We've travelled to the historic market town of Bakewell, famed for its pudding and wonderful scenery. Let's find out what makes it such a special place to visit. The rolling hills and green pastures of the Peak District National Park, the first to be designated a national park in England in 1951. Bakewell is in the heart of Derbyshire, the only town within the boundaries of the Peak District. The River Wye runs right through the settlement, full of charming 17th and 18th century stone buildings that draws in painters, photographers, ramblers and tourists, all wanting to spend some time in this wonderful market town. From the parking area, we cross the medieval Bakewell Bridge that spans the river. Dating from the 14th century, it was widened in the 19th to accommodate larger modern vehicles. It's around 9 AM when we start our walk through the streets, a peaceful, tranquil time to visit before many of the shops start to open and everyone descends to browse, have breakfast, coffees, and explore the lanes and quaint side streets. As the day goes on, it will become a whole lot busier. Some of the streets are pedestrianised at certain times, which make them very nice to walk around away from the traffic noise. The bakers and coffee shops are the first to open, and some of the produce is very tempting. Huntsman's pie, delicious layers of pork and chicken topped with sage stuffing, all in a hot watercrust pastry. With stomachs grumbling and having had no breakfast, we popped into the old original Bakewell pudding shop to have a hearty breakfast to set us up for the day, a good cup of tea, and of course we had to try the Bakewell pudding even at this early hour of the day. Great, thank you. The story goes a cook made a mistake in a recipe for a strawberry tart, and instead of stirring the egg mixture into the pastry, she pops it on top of the jam. The result was a success, and a Mrs. Wilson spotted an opportunity, bought the recipe, set up this shop, and the rest is history. There are many variations now, but the Bakewell pudding is the original to have when here. It's quite nice that it's warm. I think I prefer it warm to being cold. But it's an unusual taste. I think it's a bit of an acquired taste. I'm used to having a Bakewell tart, you know, with the icing on top, and I think that's much nicer. Nevertheless, it was all eaten. There are other pudding shops in the town, so if you can't get into the original, you can try one of them. Off Water Street is Portland Square, with more cafes and shops that later were heaving as the sun rose up and flooded this area with warmth. Behind me is the Rutland Arms. It's believed that Jane Austen travelled here in 1811 and stayed in room 2. It's the window on the middle floor far left. It's claimed she reworked parts of Pride and Prejudice here based on her experience at Chatsworth House. William Wordsworth spent the night in Bakewell in November 1830, perhaps at the Rutland Arms, before heading to Chatsworth House, writing 2 poems about the property. Beside Rutland Square and the hotel is a delightful garden maintained by the local council. Bath Gardens is a little park with paths between colourful borders and green lawns. The fountain, which I failed to get a picture of, is fed by Bakewell spring water, and it's also the former site of a bathhouse built in 1697 and later part of an attempt to establish Bakewell as a spa resort to rival Buxton and Matlock. In the distance, overlooking the town, we see All Saints Church in peaceful and beautiful surroundings just off of North Church Street. Bakewell is said to date back to Anglo-Saxon times, with settlers being attracted by the warm springs. A church, now a Grade 1 listed building, has stood here since 920 AD. It was replaced by the current church, originally constructed in the 12th and 13th centuries, but very few areas of that remain now, as it became dilapidated and dangerous, resulting in it being virtually rebuilt in the 1840s by William Flockton. It's still an impressive and important part of the town today, offering wonderful views over the parish. If you continue up the hill past the church and turn right, eventually you'll find Cunningham Place. Apart from the lovely quaint houses and gardens, we arrive at the old house. This Tudor dwelling, built at the time of Henry VIII, was a tax collector's cottage. During the Industrial Revolution, it became a mill worker's cottage for the nearby Lumford Cotton Mill. There is an eclectic mix of historic objects, as well as the surviving features of the property to view inside. Details can be found here. Walking back down onto North Church Street are the most adorable homes. The residents really take pride in showing off their properties, and this was our favourite street to walk along. Most beautiful views as we headed down to Rutland Square. Head up King Street adjacent to Rutland Square. Nearing the top is an interesting building which I believe was the original town hall. It's currently empty. There are some cosy cottages next to it and the King's Court. Head through the arch and be delighted by a wonderful courtyard with coffee shop and antique shop selling 18th to 20th century furniture and decorative items. Continue up the hill onto South Church Street. We see the St John's Hospital Bakewell almshouses. The plaque reads that the word hospital used to mean lodging house, a place where hospitality was provided. John Manners, a prominent figure in Bakewell, provided the building in 1602. The current structure dates from 1709, providing 6 houses for the poor and unfortunate. Complete restoration in the early 2000s converted them into 3 homes. Let's get away from the busy streets and take a walk down by the River Wye, a limestone river running through the Peak District just a few hundred metres from the town centre. popular as you can see. A number of bridges span the river. We've already seen Bakewell Bridge, and this is the Lovelock Bridge for obvious reasons. There are plenty of walks to do around Bakewell, and we picked a short river walk that would take about 45 minutes to complete. Starting from Bakewell Bridge, we head north of the town, passing the back of some of the old stone properties and along the river towpath. If you have plenty of time, then consider the Monsall Trail. It's a very famous walk or cycle along old railway tracks, over viaducts and through tunnels. It's 9 miles long, and you can join it almost at the start from the old Bakewell station. A stunning hike that we'll have to experience another time. We'll put a link in the description for more information on this. During our walk we pass some lovely properties, ending up at Holme Bridge, where we walk across and turn back into town. The bridge was built in 1664. It's a packhorse bridge and a Grade 1 listed structure. Rivers were obstacles for trade routes, and this one would have allowed the movement of goods on horseback over the river, carried in panniers or side bags. At this location you can also see a lovely set of properties painted white and named Lumford Cottages. These were the cotton mill workers' houses, and unbeknown at the time, had we walked just a little way further on, we could have seen the original Lumford Mill, built by Richard Arkwright in 1777. We missed out, but you won't if you ever visit.
Next time we'll head just 3 miles away to the grand and impressive Chatsworth House and Gardens and see what Jane Austen created as Pemberley House in Pride and Prejudice. So do join us next week and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks very much for watching, and see you again soon.